to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here. Now, in this hypnosis session, it's all about weight loss hypnosis, specifically to follow a strategy that is proven to lose weight fairly quickly. And one of the reasons that people tend to either put on weight or fail to lose weight is because of the consumption of refined carbohydrates. This is anything that has a carbohydrate that has gone through a process. So we're not talking about salads and vegetables and fruit. We're talking about things like bread and biscuits and pasta, where there's gone a process. So the actual grain is refined into flour, for example, in the case of bread and biscuits. So it's the refined nature of that. It takes a lot of the fiber out. And basically it means that the amount of calories per gram or per ounce is very high. And therefore, it's very difficult to be in a calorie deficit if you've got an excess of calories through the food that you consume. So the client I was working with for this session had in the past, when I worked with them previously, a very effective strategy where they had 2 meals a day, so an early lunch and an early dinner, and that enabled them to eat just as they were feeling hungry twice and then go to bed slightly hungry. But those 2 meals a day were what's called paleo meals. And this is a combination of proteins and natural carbs. So think of it as meat and veg, for example, or it might be fish in a salad. Now, the combination of that means that your body gets the protein and the satiation, but it also gets the fiber and the micronutrients. And if you were to have 2 of these paleo, and the term paleo comes from Paleolithic, it's a time period after Neanderthals where early humans didn't have agricultural farm systems and factory farming and supermarkets. They had to have what they could catch, what either they could hunt for or forage for. And therefore, it's very well designed for rapid digestion, and it keeps the body in a state of mild ketosis. It's not a ketogenic diet, but it's the kind of thing where your body naturally goes into ketosis, so that if you have excess energy and body fat, your body can easily utilize that. So the crux of this is 2 meals a day of healthy, natural foods, the paleo foods. But this client didn't want to feel like they had to eat this way forever. So they actually used upcoming holidays as stepping stones. So they would think in terms of eat this way until the next holiday, eat whatever they wanted during the holiday, still making healthy choices, and then return back to this 2 meals a day. And in doing so, it gave them 4 or 5 stepping stones to appreciate just how much the radical change would be. And the key thing to weight loss is not being perfect for a week or two. It's actually the consistency over a prolonged period of time. And when you eat that way, your body naturally adapts, because weight loss is just an adaptation. Your stomach shrinks, your glycogen reduces, your insulin resistance increases, and your body therefore has the ability to use this process called ketosis to use energy stored in your body fat. So if you like the idea of a very simple way to lose body fat in a way that is sustainable. This isn't a diet, it's just a way of eating. But by eating this way, you can actually lose weight. And it will work even better if you've got upcoming holidays that you can think of in terms of, can you eat like this, 2 meals a day, healthy natural foods until your next holiday? You'll get even more value from it. Now, it was created for an individual. Some of the suggestions are going to be calibrated to regressing to a time when they were already eating that way. That might not be the case with you, and thinking about their kind of holiday destinations. So if you want something customized, look in the show notes, because there's many different links there where you can explore how to work with me. And if you want to have a chat on Zoom, that can be arranged through that process as well before committing to any sessions. For now, though, I'd encourage you to find a quiet, comfortable location where you're not going to be distracted or disturbed, to relax and to enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in that slow, long, relaxing breath. And as you exhale, that's it. With your eyes closed, feel that wonderful feeling of release. Just feel any tension, any stress, any worries start to leave your body in your outward breath. Before breathing in, not just relaxation, but a feeling of excitement. This is already a different phase of your life. And wouldn't it be wonderful to be that kind of body shape where you feel confident, energized, have the mobility, the energy to really enjoy. And I want you to get a feeling that you've earned this. Some people, they work their life and then get to retirement and it's restrictive. But for others, it can be a wonderful opportunity of freedom, of choice. And wouldn't it be wonderful to activate the version of you that gets to enjoy that even more? As you breathe in that relaxation and excitement. As you exhale any feeling of shoulds and have tos, any pressure, coercion or conditions. When you get to do something, doesn't it feel so much better? So as you breathe in and breathe out, just imagine floating back in time. Floating all the way back to a time when you can observe that version of yourself making a shift. I want you to observe that version of you clearing out the cupboards of any processed or refined carbohydrates. See that version of you not doing it reluctantly, belligerently. See that version of you doing it from a place of wonder, possibility, enthusiasm. And as you see that version of you, see how within days, the combination of the ritual of a spring clean, of removing those distractions and temptations, created just enough friction for you to figure out a way of eating that works very well with your body. I want you to observe how that late breakfast, about 11:30, would mean that you didn't feel hungry until late afternoon. And then, late afternoon, you would have that meal, and that would be enough until you fall asleep. But instead of seeing one day, I want you to imagine seeing every day for a month. It may have needed discipline, willpower, conscious intention at one point, but I want you to observe how quickly things became familiar, routine, just how you have breakfast, how you make dinner. And I want you to get a sense that what if that is the real definition of success? To have a week or so where you're not thinking about what you can and what you can't have. You just cook and prepare what's there, and it just happens to be proteins and veg that are good for your body, good for your taste buds, and the kind of food that flips a switch inside your body. A switch that says, if you need energy, just take it from your body fat cells. And as you observe that month of that 2 meals a day, walking lots, drinking lots of water, I want you to see that the weight loss was a side effect of you finding a rhythm, a routine. And when you've seen a whole month of you living and eating and even shopping that way, let me know by nodding your head. Then rewind it. Not to day 1 when there was a fast, but to day 2. Step into that version of you and imagine what it would be like to prepare that breakfast. To notice how it filled you up, tasted good. And then imagine preparing that late afternoon meal. And notice this wasn't as challenging as you thought it would be. No cravings, no mood swings. And that tells you that your body likes eating that way. And then jump forward to a week of eating that way. Imagine shopping and what you buy, what's in your fridge, what's in your cupboards, but also what you don't buy. That feels empowering. This feels exciting. And then move from the past to the present and imagine your very next meal is one of these healthy paleo meals. You already know the paleo foods. The only question is, what kind of meal are you going to prepare next? And create a movie in your mind of preparing that food. You know where the ingredients are. You know how you'll prepare it. But I want you to imagine, as you imagine preparing the food, it feels exciting and tempting, and you can't wait to make that food. You also can't wait to give away any food that is no longer for you anymore. I want you to create an image in your mind of the cupboards in the kitchen, the kind of foods that stop you making progress. And just imagine putting that into a big bag, taking it to a food bank, and feeling that this is a win for them and a win for you. Someone out there gets a nice meal, and you get the reset you're looking for. And I want you to imagine what it would be like to set boundaries. That what you eat in your home are these paleo meals. And on special occasions, you can eat what you want, but only if they're truly special occasions. And I want you to think of those likely special occasions over the next few weeks. Maybe there's one or two that you know are on the horizon. And maybe you eat something differently there. And maybe you have a glass of wine there. Because it feels different when you know that you can eat whatever you want. You're just choosing to eat this healthy, nutritious food. And any thoughts that come up of foods that you really want that aren't this paleo food, instead of wanting it now, you can just want it for one of those special occasions. You already know how to procrastinate. So why not procrastinate a desire for certain foods until it's in the kind of place that feels that it aligns with this new way of living and eating. And maybe that's a celebration, or maybe that's a holiday. When your unconscious is ready to commit to this way of eating as your default way of eating, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine a river with 4 stepping stones. Each stepping stone represents a holiday. I want you to imagine that you don't have to believe that you're going to eat this way forever. You could imagine eating this way until your next holiday. It means it's manageable, achievable. And I want you to imagine each day you have that 11:30 breakfast, that early afternoon meal, and then you sleep and you wake up, and before long it's just how you eat. Maybe there's a route that you do your 10,000 or so steps a day. But notice how much choice and variety you have within your boundaries. You're having that breakfast, but you decide what protein foods are in that breakfast. You're having that 4 or 5 p.m. meal, but you decide what you cook, how you prepare it, what the ingredients are. And you will be walking 10,000 steps, but where you're walking, you get to choose. I want you to feel liberated and empowered by this, not restricted. And I want you to get a sense that you've done this every day. And if there's a setback, you just write that off and the very next day start again. And just imagine observing that version of you on the holiday, on that first stepping stone. And maybe you're already looking healthier, leaner, slimmer. And I want you to see that you can enjoy that holiday without it having to reverse everything you've done. Between holidays is about following your habit, your routine. And the holiday itself isn't about making more progress. It's just about protecting the progress you've already made. And then see that when you return from that holiday, you've got weeks to get back into that rhythm, that routine before the next one. But when you observe that version of you on that next holiday, I want you to see yourself smiling more, looking lighter. Maybe you've already dropped a clothing size. And again, how you are on that holiday, it's not a finishing line to binge and gorge. It's a way of enjoying food, but protecting all the progress you've already made. A stepping stone is just a reset before you take the next leap. And then imagine a few more weeks of more progress. But the progress is on sticking to what works for you. It's the consistency, not the outcome. That's real progress. And I want you to see that even if there's plateaus, you stick with it. Even if there's a setback, you reset. Plateaus require patience, and your unconscious will give you patience when you need it. And setbacks require perspective. A blip is not a trend unless it gives you permission to do exactly what you don't want to do. And I want you to imagine yourself on the fourth stepping stone, that 4 holidays from now. But I want you to see something different. You are brimming with self-confidence. You're looking slim, healthy. And I want you to see that you're wearing a particular clothing size that just aligns with that version of you. The clothing size is a reflection of how you live life. Not a goal to get to, but a reflection. And if that feels desirable, aspirational, exciting, but also achievable, almost like because you're doing the right things, it's just inevitable that sooner or later, that's how you'll look, that's how you'll be. Just let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And it's time to leave that place, that 4th holiday, and just get a sense that you are unlocking all of the resources, belief systems, and strategies required to empower you to find that rhythm. And you're giving permission to follow something that doesn't need discipline, doesn't need willpower. The only time you'll need discipline is the first day or 2 after a holiday. But your instinct will be to return back to familiar ways of eating. And maybe you need a bit of willpower the day after a special occasion. And that's fine. Willpower and discipline are good in small doses, but only when they're needed. And when you enjoy the food you're eating, because it's healthy and nutritious and convenient, you don't need willpower, because it's already aligned with who you are and who you're becoming. It feels different when you've got the option without the obligation. And don't be surprised on these holidays. You've got the option to eat whatever you want. But don't be surprised if many meals on those holidays are the food you've gotten used to eating anyway. And that makes a difference. When you've got free reign, when you still choose to, it sends a powerful message to your subconscious mind that you're happy living this way. You like eating this food. This is not a sacrifice. It's a strategy that connects with who you are and how you like to live. And as you hold that thought, it's time to return to the here and the now. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.